and welcome to the ARCS. We're live here from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina for the running of the Goodyear 50. Now let's take a look at your top 10 qualifiers in today's race. Starting on the pole is the 38 car of Dmitry Yanukovych. In second, Jerry Funk. In third, Paris Riley. In fourth, Quinn Porter. In fifth, Roland Heidfeld. In sixth, Maxwell Smart. In seventh, Matthew Bussey Jr. In eighth, Tyler Seville. In ninth, Diego Tacone. And rounding out your top 10, Marin Kozarich. Let's take a look at the rest of the cars in the field, and we'll get right on into the action. And we're live here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. The pace car's already dived off, and we're about to get the green flag, and Dmitry Yanukovych is under power, and we're underway. Paris Riley trying to give that 38 car a shunt, and it looks like Jerry Funk used that outside to his advantage with Quinn Porter in tow. As two-car breakaway here early on the very first lap of this race. Quinn Porter is very hungry for a win here in the ARCS. He is dead last in points. That'll complete lap 1 of this race, going into lap 2. As our pole sitter, Dmitry Yanukovych, is already back to 4th place. Tyler Seville with a good run in 5th. Marin Kozarich, a winner earlier this season at Atlanta, in the top 10. As Jerry Funk has got a not too commanding lead here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, but Quinn Porter is in tow. Maxwell Smart, another driver that needs points if he wants to make the championship title chase, as we've got Tyler Seville, 5th place. And everything's sorted out fairly decent. Well, we've got a Carter Hayden there for 7th, as he's going to look to the inside of Noah Hobson, our winner from Sonoma, California. So we've got Draven Sandy in 11th place, as Paris Riley's underneath Draven Sandy, and Jordan Walker on the outside behind Draven Sandy. So we've got two MWR cars, 10th and 11th right there. Good run for Michael Waltrip. And then, Jordan Walker almost absolutely annihilated Draven Sandy there, as Sandy gets out of the way and goes to the bottom of the track. Draven Sandy's had some bad luck this season as he collected a Paris Riley coming onto pit road, and the 24 car of Jacob Bradley coming onto pit road. So Draven Sandy's been in a little bit of trouble lately on track with other drivers. But at this point in the season, I mean, who hasn't? We've had a couple rivalries brewing. Most notably that 98 car Ringus McDingus and the 22 of Elias Goodbias getting into it at a couple tracks this season. So it'll be interesting to see how that rivalry pans out for the rest of the season, as we're completing lap 8 of 80 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Goodyear 50. In our kind of throwback race here in the ARCS, as Jerry Funk still leads us around this track here in North Wilkesboro. So we got Dave Wilson holding up the rear here. Here's Dre Heron and Denzel Scott there. Denzel Scott would like to have a good points day, as he is another driver, like I've said before, who needs points. Ricky Quinn, not a good run for Ricky Quinn. He's in on points as we speak right now, but sub 30th finish would not be good enough for his points chances, as most of the field has strung themselves out now. The question is, we've got an 80-lap race here. When are the pit stops going to happen? Who comes in first? Who's going to take advantage of those fresh tires and that fuel? It could be a big fuel mileage race, but we'll have to wait till we get to that point. But so far, so good. Matthew Bussey is as Trevor Walker gets possibly into the back of the 22 of Elias Goodbias. Another rivalry, potentially? I don't think so there, but it looks like the 88 of Dre Heron's going to take advantage of the 21 of Trevor Walker getting slowed up by that 22 car of Elias Goodbias. He's got Jared Jansen there and Ellie Buss running fairly close together, nose to tail. There's Richard Petty in the pace car there. He's just chilling. Hasn't had much cautions to come out for, which is good, you know. Got to keep Richard in the pit lane as much as possible here in the ARCS. Because, you know, if you let him out, he's going to get rowdy. So, we got Jordan Walker there and Jarrett Trudell. No caution so far, and we're 14 of 80 complete here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Green flag laps are good. Oh, as the 39 car did not have a great corner there and is losing spots left and right there. Throws a block on Sean Carson. I was a little surprised to see. Oh! And Sean Carson almost got into Clay Stone in the 32. We got almost 3 wide there as Bussey sends it up the bottom of the track, almost into Sean Carson and Brandy Harper. The back of the pack is where the action has kind of been today. The front of the pack has some clear-cut leaders here, as we've got Jerry Funk still leading. And when I say clear-cut, Jerry Funk has probably a second lead over the second-place car of Quinn Porter, as they come to the stripe here to complete 17 of 80 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Here's Dmitry Yanukovych after falling back a little from the start of this race. He's caught back up to the second and third place cars, as Tyler Seville has quietly crept into fifth. He's passed a couple cars, if I remember correctly. Got Noah Hobson, our Sonoma winner. Carter Hayden last week almost beat Trevor Walker, our Texas World winner. But, I don't know. We've had 2 good races over the past 2 ARCS events and almost 2 photo finishes. We had Elias Goodbias win over Ringus McDingus, I believe, at Las Vegas. He stepped out late and tried to make a pass at the start-finish line on the last lap, but it did not come to fruition, as there's Denzel Scott looking to the inside of our Daytona winner, Jacob Bradley, but that move is not going to stick, as Dave Wilson, again, is still holding up the rear, and Matthew Bussey Jr. has dropped a couple spots, if I believe, as we've got that 5 car of Joshua Harrison and Dave Wilson. I believe when we were last at the back of the pack, they were second and second to last. So, there's Dmitry Yanukovych there, as Tyler Seville is slowly just kind of riding back there behind Yanukovych, but I believe that first place car is still about a second ahead if I take a look. Yep. Oh, it's closed a little bit. It has closed a little bit, but it still is a gap, as Maxwell Smart is breathing down Quinn Porter's neck there. Will Smart be able to make the pass? That's the question. If I was Smart right here, I would probably wait another 20 laps or so till you get about halfway, and then try to make a move on Quinn Porter. Well, if you wait that long, you know, the pit stops are going to probably decide this race, at least in my opinion. Whoever has the best stop will probably win, because Jerry Funk is just too good this early in the race that we've had no challengers for the lead. So props to Jerry Funk for dominating race early here in this race, but we're only almost 25 of 80 complete. Well, we're 23 of 80 complete, but still a long ways to go here in the Goodyear 50. As Dave Wilson, again, still in last. Poor Dave Wilson. And I'm pretty sure Dave Wilson is in need of a lot of points here. But, well, maybe things will look up for Dave Wilson, and he'll pick up 10 spots on pit road, but definitely not the day Dave Wilson is hoping for here. As, Quinn Porter has gained some time on Jerry Funk, so Jerry Funk's dominating day could come to an end here if Quinn Porter gets to him and passes him. But see, catching him is one thing, passing him is a totally different beast here at North Wilkesboro Speedway with these tight corners. The outside lane, if you can roll it just correctly, if you get behind somebody, that could give you the opportunity to pass, but again, just protecting that inside line on the bottom of the track is key, so you don't want to use that middle groove, or middle or outside groove, I should say, to try and get around somebody, but as well protect the bottom, so you can't do both at the same time. As you can see, Jerry Funk, he's going to have to ask himself that question, as Quinn Porter has gained significantly on Jerry Funk, as well as Maxwell Smart there in that 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. Dave Wilson at the back again. Oh, poor Dave Wilson. There's Trevor and Elias. Trevor Elias. Oh, that's an interesting name. Trevor Elias. Trevor and Elias Goodbias. As it looks like the top three cars have broken away here, as they kind of were at the beginning of this race, but now they've sorted themselves out. Almost 30 of 80 complete here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. I would gander to say that within the next 10 laps, we'll probably see pit stops here at this 0.6 mile facility here in Wilkes County, North Carolina. Quinn Porter still has not passed Jerry Funk. I don't know. I think if I was Quinn Porter, I think he's probably thinking the long game, and he's probably hoping his pit crew is going to get him the lead here on pit road. Kind of a weird thing to say. Your pit crew can win you the race, but it's true, and in multiple races this season, we've seen examples of that. I mean, if you think back to Sonoma, Andy Seville had and there's, speaking of Andy Seville, there's Andy Seville right there. He had a dominating race at Sonoma, qualified almost on the pole, if I remember correctly, or if not the pole. And then the 18 of Noah Hobson just had the better pit stop and the best pit crew of the day. Pit crew of the day. Apparently Noah Hobson's a crip now, but no, he had the best pit crew, not the best crip crew. But anyway, Noah Hobson is not gang affiliated. Denzel Scott back here in 34th place. Beth Sanders in 35th. Sorry, this is really getting to me here. The image of Noah Hobson as a crip. But anyway, Dave Wilson, again, another joke here, is in last place still. We'll get back to a more serious tone here as we get to the top three drivers. Things have closed up fairly tightly as we see Noah Hobson, our favorite not gang-affiliated driver here in the ARCS. There's Ringus McDingus. Let's give a shout-out to Ringus McDingus here inside the top 10. Another good run for him. Good thing he's not around Elias Goodbias, though. We don't want to see any more... rivalries are good, but we don't need Ringus McDingus spinning anybody off his front bumper here today at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Andy Seville there. Our Sonoma hopeful that got passed by Noah Hobson on pit road. And this battle for the lead has still stayed mostly the same, but gains have been made on Jerry Funk. Speaking of Funk, I think things will get funky here at North Wilkesboro Speedway once the cars pull onto pit road. I'm expecting some changes within the top 10 drivers in today's race. I think we could possibly even see somebody within the top 15 who is not in the top 10 right now get a really good finish here. I mean, heck, even Dave Wilson. We'll just throw Dave Wilson in there. You know, Dave Wilson could still win this race. No cautions have come out yet, but, I mean, as we take a quick peek at Dave Wilson there in the back. No Dave Wilson slander will be tolerated here, but he is in last, so we can kind of joke about him. As the fourth place car of Dmitry Yanukovych has fallen into the clutches of that 2 car of Tyler Seville and Noah Hobson as well. They've all kind of formed up on Dmitry Yanukovych. Well, not formed up on him, but near him. I think he might be holding up that bottom line. I mean, from the start of this race, he proved that he had a fast qualifying lap, but obviously did not have the race set up that team wanted and fell back early. It's Matthew Bussey Jr., another driver who fell back. We'll have to take a look at where he started, but he did start toward the front in about 7th place, roughly. So not a good... Oh! And Jerry Funk's pit! The first... Oh my gosh, I thought Jerry Funk was going to hit that inside retaining wall. So Jerry Funk is the first driver to pit. We will stay with Quinn Porter, though, our current leader here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And the first lead change of this race, surprisingly, is coming at lap 42. Well, minus the first lap of the race between Dmitry Yanukovych and Jerry Funk. Sorry, I was spacing who was our pole sitter, but our pole sitter is now in third. And let's take a look at some of the pitters here as we go through the field. Deacon Gentleman and Jordan Walker, Noah Hobson, Carter Hayden, Dave Wilson still in last. Oh, and the leaders are pitting here as we've got Quinn Porter on pit road. I don't believe anybody else will stay out here. And we'll get on board with Quinn Porter, at the beginning of pit road with Quinn Porter. As we've got Richard Petty just chilling in the pace car here. Trevor Walker, I believe, has stayed out, but we'll have to check on that in a moment. Dave Wilson still on track. We're all rooting for Dave Wilson here in the ARCS booth. And Noah Hobson is first off pit road, as I believe Dmitry Yanukovych is in his stall, or is his crew just waving for him to come in? I don't know. Oh, his pit crew member has a tire in hand. Oh, and he's, okay. So Dmitry Yanukovych is on pit road, but he's using his magical powers and deceiving us of where he is. So Dmitry Yanukovych has magical powers here in the ARCS, apparently. His pit crew. All right, well, we'll avoid that storyline for a later date, but we'll try to pick up the leader here. As Trevor Walker, I believe, is the last car on track to come in, as he's coming off pit road right now, so we will see who has cycled to the front of the field. Let's take a look, and as we come... Oh, and I believe Ricky Quinn, he stayed out for the longest period of time. We will stick with Ricky Quinn. I do not believe Ricky Quinn is the leader, but we will see as we come to the stripe here who... Oh, Jerry Funk, let's take a look. As he comes around, he has, on our ticker, shown in the first position. And let's take a look as he crosses the stripe. 47 of 80 complete, and Jerry Funk, no pit crew, could match Jerry Funk's. And the funkiness of pit road did not throw him off, and he is still leading. As we go through the field. Quinn Porter. Oh, Quinn Porter. I said earlier that there was going to be a driver within the 15th place that would make a jump toward the front, but Quinn Porter did the exact opposite. He went from second place all the way to 15. Oh, and Cassidy Reynolds with damage. 36th place, right behind Matthew Bussey Jr. That is not good. The hood is off of that car, and the grill is absolutely bent in on that Roush Racing number 17. Not a good race for Cassidy Reynolds. Ooh, I think Jerry Funk might catch some lap cars soon. Potentially, we'll have to see. Yeah, Clay Stone's right there. Looks like Jerry Funk, if we pan back here, Clay Stone, or no, somebody, Jerry Funk passed someone. Yeah. Callie Bogarts was passed by Jerry Funk, so it looks like Noah Hobson, if we go back, yeah, Noah Hobson is second place. He is the pit crew master in the ARCS. A good stop for him. I mean, almost won him another race, so props to that pit crew. Noah Hobson doing his job, or his pit crew doing the job here in the ARCS, as Quinn Porter, the 15 car, is in 15th place. Beth Sanders with a 20th place run. Joshua Harrison. Let's take a look at Joshua. Joshua Harrison from 39th place to 24th. Not bad. Not bad at all. Hey, Dave Wilson. Hey, we kind of were against Dave Wilson at the beginning of this broadcast, but Dave Wilson, admittedly, his pit crew has done a good job to get him almost inside the top 25. So, very good job by Dave Wilson. So we've got Bussey Jr. Did not get very many spots on pit road. Probably gained one or two. Maybe three, give or take. 3, 4. But still. Oh, Clay Stone lost some spots. Oh, Jerry Funk. I don't know if that's correct, but Jerry Funk's got damage on the front of his car. I wonder if he made contact with Clay Stone. I don't know. This is interesting. This is interesting, because when we went to the back of the field, we didn't see Jerry Funk run into anybody, I don't believe. Okay, must have just been on our end. It looks like Jerry Funk does not have damage on the front of that Front Row Motorsports 34, but still Jerry Funk's in the lead. But Cassidy Reynolds does very much have damage on the front of that 17 car. And Mark Ware is... Where is Mark Ware? No pun intended on Mark Ware's part, but... Draven Sandy, Tyler Seville. Pedro Perez, a driver that during the middle of this race was probably back toward the 20th place position, is almost in the top 5. A good job by their pit crew. Carter Hayden holding onto a spot. Ringus McDingus with a 3rd place run right now with some help from the pit crew. I mean, if you were to say anything bad about that pit crew, that would be very wrong, because they have helped a lot. At least in the ARCS, they have helped out quite a bit. Pit crews are pivotal. They provide help in pivotal moments here in the ARCS. So Elias Goodbias, we haven't talked about him much today besides the rivalry with Ringus McDingus, but he sits in 27th place as Mitch Barrier sits in 28th. Beth Sanders having a decent but not up to Beth Sanders' standards. Wow, that is a tongue twister. Roland Heidfeld, he's rolling outside of the top 10 here. But, I mean, hey, he's still rolling. He hasn't been involved in an accident here today like he was last week, so good for him. Callian Bogarts, 40th place. I mean, what can you say? Well, what can you say about Jerry Funk either? I mean, he has this track dialed in. Definitely dialed in. The only laps that anybody else has led, besides Jerry Funk, were for the pit stops, and Quinn Porter led a couple, and the only other driver besides Quinn Porter and Jerry Funk to lead laps today was probably last week's winner, Trevor Walker. He tried to stay out, probably hoping for a caution, but today the cautions just have not been there. Drivers staying clean. I think the drivers realize the playoffs are creeping up on us here in the ARCS. So that is always something to look out for. But we've got some interesting tracks coming up still in the schedule. I believe we are going to the Rock next. So not a far drive from North Wilkesboro to the Rock. In-state, actually, so these drivers will not have to go far. But Jerry Funk is definitely far out front in this race. As Noah Hobson, he has closed a little bit, but I think Noah Hobson, if he's got any chance at this race, is probably going to be a caution. But cautions can happen. I mean, weird things happen in the ARCS. You just never know. As 66 of 80 complete here in the Goodyear 50, Jerry Funk in his Peanut Patch number 34 Ford Fusion is still in the lead. Callian Bogarts. See, the problem for Noah Hobson right now is just Callian Bogarts. If Noah Hobson gets up to Callian Bogarts, obviously you're going to have to pass that lap car. So definitely a hurdle that Noah Hobson's going to have to climb over to get this victory here in North Wilkesboro. As Maxwell Smart still inside the top 5. Good run for him. He has had some pretty dicey runs this season, so he needs every point he can get. Ringus McDingus not doing too bad. He's actually doing a lot better than he was earlier in this race. We got Carter Hayden slightly back. Again, Pedro Perez, good job by their pit crew, getting him up inside, almost inside the top 5. Jarrett Trudell. Tyler Seville lost a couple spots, I believe. Draven Sandy creeping up inside the top 10. Jared Jansen. I honestly don't remember where Jared Jansen qualified, but very good run for that team inside the top 10. Points, points, points. That's what you got to do here. Get your points in. You can point your way in. Got Quinn Porter back. Ooh, did Quinn Porter lose some? Nope, Quinn Porter did not lose spots. My bad. This is Theophilus Morgendorfer in front of him. Marin Kozarich, our winner at Atlanta. Got that Beth Sanders Caterpillar machine. And we just finished lap 69, going on to 70 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and we've got 10 to go. Now, this is the time where Jerry Funk and his crew chief are probably sweating just a little bit, because this is where, well, oddly enough, gets funky. Oh, and Jerry Funk is funky. The front of that car is a little damaged, but Callian Bogarts is right behind Jerry Funk. Oh, this is interesting. Is Jerry Funk potentially saving fuel here at North Wilkesboro? He has dropped off the pace just slightly and let that lap car of Callian Bogarts get right up to the back bumper. Oh, this is interesting at North Wilkesboro. Will the drivers have to pit again, potentially? That would be interesting here for Jerry Funk. And I was about to say something about Jerry Funk and his crew chief sweating about caution coming out, but if it's fuel strategy, that could be even worse. Then you'll have to come down pit road with a caution. You've got to restart, with a pit during green flag conditions here at North Wilkesboro. You could see a driver try to stay out and steal a win. I mean, Noah Hobson could. Noah Hobson, not stole, but he strategically won a race at Sonoma, so I don't know. We'll see if Noah's crew chief has anything up his sleeve, as the 93 car of Callian Bogarts is really crowding the back bumper of Jerry Funk, and I don't think Jerry Funk's too happy with that. A lap car putting pressure on the leader this late in the race, it's kind of strange, but we'll see how it plays out, as 76 of 80 here complete in the Goodyear 50. And more lap cars ahead, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. As we look through the field, nobody's side by side, so the caution factor could be less, but obviously we're still waiting on that fuel mileage play, if there is at all. But if anybody dives off or the pace car comes out, we will be quick to let you know if something happens. Ooh, and Callian Bogarts backs off the back of Jerry Funk. I think Callian Bogarts realized how close they were to the back of the 34 and backed off just a little bit. We've got 78 of 80 complete here at North Wilkesboro, and it's coming down to the last couple laps here. Noah Hobson, Ringus McDingus, and Maxwell Smart are hoping for a miracle here in Wilkes County, but I don't think that's going to happen, as Jerry Funk has just been the mean machine that is also painted green and a little bit of yellow at North Wilkesboro, and we've got 2 laps to go. As Callian Bogarts, I don't know, be interesting. We'll see if Callian Bogarts has any beef against Jerry Funk. I mean, if I was Callian Bogarts and Jerry Funk raced me wrong in the last couple races, I would be not too hesitant to dump Jerry Funk, but I don't think that's going to happen, as the last lap is underway here in North Wilkesboro. And with a little bit of revival from the ARCS and our team, we have gotten cars back to North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Goodyear 50, and Jerry Funk could potentially be our winner in the throwback race here. As he comes off turn 4, Jerry Funk is going to win it here in Wilkes County. And we're back at the historic North Wilkesboro Speedway, as Jerry Funk has collected the victory here. Got Noah Hobson in second place, Ringus McDingus in third, in fourth, Maxwell Smart, in fifth, Carter Hayden, in sixth, Pedro Perez, in seventh, Jarrett Trudell, in eighth, Tyler Seville, in ninth, Draven Sandy, and rounding out your top 10, Jer Jansen. Let's take a look at the rest of the drivers in today's field.